All right, so get this. We are diving deep today into Willard Library and, their resident ghost, right? The Gray Lady.
Oh, yes.
And you guys have sent us some really great sources this time around.
Yes.
We've got this awesome spooky short story and then this handout all about Willard Library, which I think is still open.
Yeah, still an active library.
It's crazy. It's got all this history and all these hauntings, so.
It's amazing how it brings together the fictional and the factual, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've got this exploration of fear in this story.
Yeah.
How stories, like, mess with our heads, And then we have, like, real people saying, hey, I saw something.
Right.
I felt something in this place. So it's, like, trying to figure out why these stories stick with us.
Yeah.
And maybe where those stories even come from.
Okay, so let's start with this short story.
Okay.
It takes place in the Hollow, which, like, just the name
yes.
already,
It sounds ominous.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah.
It's this isolated road shrouded in local legends. The kind of place where, like, every town has that one place.
Totally.
Where it's like, oh, don't go there at night.
Yeah.
And our narrator starts out, he's totally skeptical. He's like, ghosts, please. That's for kids.
Right.
But then he misses the bus.
Oh.
And he has to walk home.
Oh, no.
Right through the Hollow.
Of course.
I can already feel the suspense.
It's building already.
Have you ever been in, like, one of those places where those stories that you always kind of laugh about suddenly feel a little too real?
It is amazing how quickly our, like, skepticism just melts away.
Right.
When we're in the right environment.
Yes.
It's like suddenly we're tapping into something primal.
Yeah.
That fear of the unknown.
Absolutely. And it's not just any ghost stories that are getting to him.
Right.
The ones that, like, really stick in his mind are from this, like, unpopular kid at school.
Oh, interesting.
The one that nobody really, like, listens to?
Yeah. Right.
It just makes you wonder why those stories have such a hold on him,
It's like they're more believable because they're so unexpected.
Yeah.
It's weird how our brains latch on to the things that kind of deviate from the norm.
Yes.
Especially when it's someone you don't typically associate with, being in the know.
Right.
It adds this layer of, like, intrigue.
Yes.
Like, ooh, forbidden knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what if this is actually real?
And the way the author, like, uses sensory details, it just ramps up the tension even more.
Oh, for sure.
You've got the trees whispering, the feeling of being watched, his breath is getting, like, faster and faster.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're right there with him.
It's like that's that classic horror tactic.
Yeah.
Of playing on our, fear of the dark.
Yeah.
And what we can't see.
Yeah.
That anticipation, that slow build.
Uh-huh.
It's like the hallmark of any good horror story.
Right.
It makes us hyper aware of, like, every little sound, every little movement.
Yes.
And it just primes us for that potential threat.
Okay. So let's switch gears now, and we're going to head over to, like, the very real Willard Library.
Oh, right.
It's got this beautiful, like, Victorian Gothic architecture.
Yeah.
Founded way back in 1885 by a philanthropist named Willard Carpenter.
Okay.
And his vision was to, like, create this library open to everyone, free of charge forever.
That's amazing.
I know, and it's still going strong today.
Wow.
But what we're really interested in is the other resident, right?
Of course.
The Gray Lady.
The Gray Lady.
And one of the first things that you see in this handout is a picture of Louise Carpenter Willard's daughter.
Oh, wow.
And people can't help but speculate, could she be the Gray Lady?
Right.
It's like the classic ghost story setup, like a lingering spirit tied to the building's history.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this one detail that adds another layer to it.
Oh, what's that?
So some ghost hunters were visiting the library.
Okay.
They see Louise's picture, and one of them just makes this offhand comment about her appearance. And he immediately feels uneasy, like he just, like, crossed a line.
Interesting.
Like maybe this entity is aware and doesn't like to be disrespected.
Oh, that's creepy.
Right. It's like, be careful what you wish for. Like,
Yeah.
Is she watching everything?
It makes you wonder if every visitor is being, like, observed in some way.
Okay, so let's get to the actual Gray Lady encounters.
Yes, let's hear them.
Because there are a lot in this handout.
Oh, I bet.
We could go chronologically, starting way back in 1937 with this custodian encounter in the basement.
Okay.
So picture this dimly lit basement. He's heading towards the furnace room. His flashlight beam is, like, dancing on the walls.
Oh.
And there she is.
Oh, my God.
Classic Gray Lady, flowing dress, gray veil.
Wow.
Gone in a flash.
It's that classic ghost story moment, right?
Yes.
That, like, sudden appearance, disappearance. Like,
yeah.
Did I really see what I thought I saw?
Right. And what's so interesting is that it establishes a pattern.
Right.
This is, like, not just a one-off. It's the beginning of a long string of encounters.
Wow.
So then we jump ahead to like the 1980s.
Okay.
Miss Mayer, the children's librarian, she's working late during some renovations.
Okay.
And she starts to get this feeling like she's being followed home by the Gray Lady.
Oh my gosh.
What?
That is so creepy.
This one is so intriguing because it's like, is she attached to specific people?
Right.
Not just the building?
Yeah.
What was it about Miss Mayer?
Yeah. Why her?
Why was she singled out?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it almost feels personal.
It does. It does.
Now, we all know ghosts love messing with books.
Oh, of course they do.
Well, the Gray Lady is no exception.
Right.
Willard Library staff, they keep finding books randomly falling off the shelves.
Oh, wow.
But sometimes it's, like, triggered by something.
Oh.
So, like, the former director, he was trying to downplay all this Gray Lady talk.
Okay.
And then, wouldn't you know, a book titled Betsy's Wedding comes flying off a shelf.
Oh, my God.
I guess she has a sense of humor.
She does. It's like, don't underestimate me.
Right. I'm still here.
Right.
And it gets even wilder in the 1970s.
Oh, boy.
When Lorraine Warren.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that Lorraine Warren.
The famous paranormal investigator.
Yes. She visits the library.
Okay.
And she ends up going into a trance.
Oh.
In the story pit, no less.
The story pit, that's kind of a symbolically rich place.
Oh, yeah.
To go into a trance.
Yeah.
It's like sunken and enclosed.
Right.
It's almost like a representation of like going into the subconscious.
Oh.
You know, it's the perfect setting.
Yes.
For a paranormal encounter.
And in her trance, she sees this sorrowful woman
who
seems connected to the land beneath the library.
Wow.
Not just the building.
Interesting.
It's like the Gray Lady story goes even deeper.
Yeah, it really adds this whole other dimension to it, right?
Yes.
Like each new piece of the puzzle, it just adds another question.
Right.
Another layer of mystery.
So we've got these dramatic appearances and books flying off the shelves.
Right.
But there are also these smaller, subtler things that are happening.
Oh, like what?
Like the special collections librarian.
Okay.
He keeps hearing faucets running in a locked basement restroom.
Okay.
Or the night shift workers at Berry Global. They keep seeing the elevator moving up and down.
No.
All by itself.
Oh, that's creepy.
Classic signs of poltergeist activity.
Right.
Unexplained sounds movement, manipulation of objects.
It's like a constant sense of unease.
Yes.
Like you're never truly alone.
It really makes you question what's really going on.
It does.
You hear stories like that and you're like, wait, is my house haunted too?
Yeah, suddenly every little creak, every little, bump in the night takes on a whole new meaning.
Then there's the security officer who got called to the library one night because the alarm went off. And so he's standing outside.
Okay.
And he sees this figure in the Bayard room window.
Okay.
It's this woman, and she's with this other shadowy figure.
Oh, my gosh.
But nobody else saw them.
That's so interesting. You like having multiple witnesses.
Yeah.
Like adds a level of validity to the claims.
Right.
And the fact that this guy was a skeptic.
Right.
And he had never heard of the Gray Lady before.
Yes.
It makes you think maybe there's something more to this than just like imagination.
Okay, and speaking of skeptics,
right?
We gotta mention Jeff Lyons.
Okay.
He's the weatherman.
Oh, yeah.
From WFIE.
Yeah, I know him.
So he was filming something at the library.
Okay.
Up on the top floor. And suddenly, books start sliding off the shelves.
Good.
Not just one, but like several.
Oh, my.
It's like she's making her presence known.
She's like, don't forget about me.
Right.
Especially like a skeptic.
Yeah.
It's almost as if she's targeting people who might dismiss her.
Okay, now let's talk about those elevator incidents.
Oh, yes. The elevator.
Because those are a whole category of Gray Lady weirdness.
Right.
So we've got a custodian who got trapped in the elevator.
Oh, no.
And he starts yelling at it to go down.
Okay.
And it worked.
Wow.
It's like, is this entity responsive?
Right.
Can it, understand and react to human emotions?
Yeah.
Or even commands?
Good. Like, what is the nature of this presence?
Yeah.
What can it do?
Oh, wait, there's an even weirder elevator story.
Okay.
So this new library assistant was alone on the adult services floor, and she decides to address the Gray Lady directly.
Oh, wow. Bold move.
I know.
I don't know if I could do that.
And she was basically like, look, if you're here, please don't scare me.
Okay.
Maybe try communicating in a nicer way.
Right.
And moments later, the elevator doors open, the call light is on, but it's completely empty.
Oh my gosh.
Like a polite response.
It's like she's saying, okay, I'll try to be less startling.
Right, welcome aboard.
Oh, that is creepy.
So it's like you've got these playful, almost mischievous moments, like the toilets in the archives reading room.
Yeah.
That are constantly flushing for no reason.
Oh.
And then you have these intense encounters, these apparitions, these feelings of dread.
So it's like a whole range of experiences.
Yeah.
It paints a very complex picture of this gray lady.
It does. It makes you wonder, like, is she benevolent, mischievous, vengeful?
Right.
Or is it all in our heads?
Yeah. Are we creating this?
Yeah. Are our fears and expectations shaping how we interpret these events?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
And maybe that's exactly what she wants.
Ooh.
To make us question, to make us wonder.
Yes.
To keep her story alive.
You've given me so much to think about.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Let's take a moment to just digest all of this, and then we'll come back and try to figure out what it all means.
Okay. Sounds good.
We're just getting started on this Gray Lady deep dive.
I'm excited. It's really interesting how the very structure of Willard Library, like the building itself,
yeah,
might actually be playing a role.
Oh, you're thinking those old basements?
Yeah. Yeah.
The drafty corners? Maybe some creaky plumbing?
Exactly.
That's definitely prime ghost story material.
Old buildings, they have so much character.
Yeah.
But they also have all those quirks.
Right.
Like, a sudden draft could feel like a cold spot.
Yeah.
A pipe banging could sound like footsteps.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean that people aren't having a genuine experience.
Right.
But it just like adds another layer, to the whole mystery.
Right. Like, is it the Gray Lady?
Right.
Or is it just like a really old radiator
exactly
deciding to be vocal?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, how much of what people are experiencing is tied to the building and how much is something else,
It's that blend of the rationale and the irrational that makes these stories so compelling.
Yeah.
We're trying to apply logic to something that might completely defy logic.
Absolutely. So let's bring it back to that short story
Right.
we talked about earlier. It's almost like the story and the real-life Willard Library account are both exploring the same themes.
They are.
You've got those heightened senses, you've got the unexplained events, and then that powerful sense of suggestion.
Right.
Especially in a place like Willard Library.
Of course, because you go in.
Yeah.
Already kind of primed for it, right?
Yes. The Gray Lady is already a legend.
It's like a feedback loop.
Yeah.
The stories fuel the experiences, and then the experiences just fuel more stories.
Right.
And it's almost impossible to separate the two.
Yes. And in that short story, remember how the narrator is practically going crazy?
Oh, yeah.
From all those stories he's heard?
Yeah, he's seeing things, he's hearing things.
Yeah, he's like, am I being watched?
Yeah.
It's almost as if the stories themselves are creating the haunting.
Right. It really speaks to the power of suggestion.
Yeah.
How our minds can play tricks on us, especially when we're in a heightened emotional state.
Yeah.
Like in a place where fear and anticipation are already running high.
So how much of what people experience at Willard Library is influenced by the Gray Lady stories they've already heard?
That is the question.
Right. Like if you go in expecting to see a ghost, are you more likely to see a ghost?
Our brains are constantly looking for patterns.
Right.
Trying to make sense of the world.
Yeah.
So it's natural to try to fit those unexplained events
right.
into a narrative we already know.
Like, oh, a book fell off the shelf must be the Gray Lady.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that all those experiences are just misinterpretations.
Yes.
It just means that the line between perception and reality can get really blurry.
Yes.
Especially when we're dealing with things we just don't understand.
Right, the unknown.
The unknown, exactly.
So after going through all of this, the short story, the real accounts, what does it all mean?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. What can we take away from both the fictional and the factual sides?
I think one of the biggest takeaways is that stories have power.
Yeah.
Real power. They shape how we see the world.
Yeah.
How we interpret events.
Right.
How we interact with places like Willard Library.
Yes.
Whether the Gray Lady is a real entity or just a product of our imagination.
Right.
She's become a tangible presence in that building.
She really has.
She's woven into the history and the identity of that place.
It's like she's part of the building's DNA.
Exactly. And it's clear that people are drawn to those stories.
They are.
Whether they believe in ghosts or not, there's something about the mystery that keeps us coming back for more.
Absolutely. There's that innate fascination with the unexplained.
Yes.
With the possibility that there might be something more to this world than meets the eye.
Exactly.
So you've really dived deep into these stories, at the psychology of it all.
Yeah.
What stands out to you about the Gray Lady?
What's interesting is that most ghost stories are about tragedy.
Oh, yeah.
Restless spirits seeking revenge or closure.
Right.
But the Gray Lady is different.
Okay.
There's a playfulness to some of her actions. Almost like a sense of humor.
Yeah.
It makes her more relatable.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
More human in a way.
Right. She's not just this terrifying specter. She's got personality.
Exactly. Yeah. She's got a presence.
Yes.
That's almost integrated into the life of the library.
Right.
It's not just haunting the building.
Yeah.
She's almost part of the staff.
I love that.
So it's less about do you believe?
Right.
And more about what makes her so compelling, so unique.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that the mystery remains unsolved.
It does.
Is it all in our heads?
Right.
Or is there something more at play?
Right. And that ambiguity is what keeps us coming back for more.
Yes.
It lets us fill in the blanks with our own imaginations.
Yeah.
Our fears, our hopes.
It's like that short story, The Power Comes from What We Don't Know.
Exactly.
It's like the Gray Lady herself is encouraging us to think for ourselves.
Right.
Draw our own conclusions.
Yeah. And maybe that's the most powerful haunting of all. The haunting of our own minds.
Okay.
Our need to understand this world, even the parts that might always remain a mystery.
You mentioned earlier that the library's structure itself might be contributing to people's experiences.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to hear more about that.
Well, let's consider something called place memory.
Okay.
It's the idea that locations, they kind of hold on to traces of past events, emotions, even the people who have been there.
So it's like the library itself has absorbed all those stories.
It could be.
All those feelings.
Yeah, think about all the people who have walked through Willard Library.
Oh, yeah.
Over the years, their joys, their sorrows, their fears.
Right.
It's not so far-fetched to think that maybe some of that energy lingers.
Okay, that's giving me chills.
Especially in a place so old and loved.
Right, so it's not just about ghosts.
Right.
It's about the layers of human experience that have seeped into the building.
It's like it's seeped into the walls. And then you combine that with the power of suggestion.
Right, yeah.
With the stories passed down through generations.
Yeah.
And it creates this truly unique atmosphere.
Yeah.
An environment where the line between what's real and what's imagined, gets blurred.
It's like the perfect recipe for a haunting.
You could say that, and maybe that's what makes Willard Library so special.
Yeah.
It's a place where the past and the present collide, where stories come to life.
Right.
And where the Gray Lady, she continues to hold court.
Yes.
Reminding us that there are still mysteries out there that we might never fully understand.
You know what? After all of this, I think I need to see this place for myself.
Oh, I think you should.
I'm feeling that urge to explore, to experience that blend of history and architecture and maybe even a little bit of that spooky energy.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
But remember what we've learned.
Okay.
Be respectful.
Right?
Be observant. And you never know. You might just have your own Gray Lady encounter.
That's a great note to end on.
I'm glad you think so.
But before we go, is there anything else
we
should be thinking about as we continue our own Gray Lady deep dives?
Yeah.
Something that wasn't explicitly mentioned in these sources.
Right.
I know you always have those insightful connections.
I try my best. It's funny because you've got me thinking about all those little unexplained things.
Yeah.
That happen not just in like Willard Library, but like in our everyday lives.
Right.
Like when you lose something and then it turns up in like the most obvious place.
Oh, yeah.
Or you think of someone and then they call you.
Yes.
Like, are those tiny hints of something bigger?
Right.
Something we don't fully understand.
I love that you're bringing up those everyday mysteries.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, I think it's called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon.
Yes.
Or the frequency illusion. That's like when you learn something new and then you start seeing it everywhere.
Yeah. It's not that the thing itself is more common. It's that you're just more aware of it now.
Yes, exactly. You're tuned in. So maybe it's the same with the paranormal.
It could be.
The more you think about it,
right,
the more open you are to those subtle signs and synchronicities, the more you start to notice them.
And it all circles back to, what we were saying about the Gray Lady.
Right.
Like, is she a real entity?
Yeah.
Or is she a manifestation of our, collective fascination?
Yeah.
With the unexplained, with those things that make us question the boundaries of reality.
Or what if it's not an either or?
Ooh, interesting.
What if it's both?
Right.
Maybe she's a blend of real energy, historical residue, and our own, need to believe in something beyond the everyday.
I like that.
Yeah.
What if instead of trying to prove or disprove the existence of ghosts,
right,
we try to understand the human need to tell these stories?
Oh, okay.
to create these experiences.
Like, why are we so drawn to ghosts in the first place?
Yeah.
What does that say about us?
Exactly.
About our hopes and fears?
Right.
Our relationship with the unknown?
I think those are the questions that get to the heart of this whole topic.
They do?
And maybe, just maybe by exploring those questions, we can unravel the mystery of the Gray Lady.
Okay.
Not by finding, like, definitive answers.
Right.
But by embracing the ambiguity.
Yes.
The possibility that some things might always remain a mystery.
You've given us a lot to ponder.
Oh, good.
So before we officially close the book.
Yes.
On this Gray Lady deep dive.
Right.
Any last words of wisdom?
Let me think. Here's a thought.
Okay.
Approach this topic with curiosity, with an open mind.
Yeah.
And a healthy dose of skepticism.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Right.
To challenge assumptions.
Yes.
And be willing to change your mind.
Right.
As you learn more.
That's great advice for any deep dive.
I think so.
Whether it's into the paranormal or any other topic that just sparks your curiosity.
It's all about the journey.
It is
about keeping that sense of wonder alive.
Absolutely. And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe in the process of exploring these mysteries, we'll discover something even more profound.
Yeah.
About ourselves.
About our place in the world.
Yeah.
And about the infinite possibilities that are out there just beyond what we currently understand.
I love that. So all of you listening out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those Gray Lady stories coming. We've only scratched the surface here. And who knows what other mysteries are waiting to be uncovered. Happy haunting.